All right, so we're going to move on to the scroll saw. Basically does the same job as the bandsaw that we just went over. Same thing, you got to adjust your depth here. We got a couple different models here. This one's adjusted right here, so you loosen this up, that lets that come up and down. Same thing, cutting thinner material is a lot easier. This is quite a bit of work for this. I can see, I mean, does that look like they even used my pattern to mark that, or do they just guess it? When we do stuff in here, I like you guys to take pride in your work and try to do as neat a job as we can. I mean, they didn't follow my directions at all, so whoever marked that on there, which it was on top, so that must have been PM. So we'll have to remark that one. We got to really watch that stuff and try to do a neat job. Lot thinner blade here. Same thing. The teeth are facing down because you want it cutting in a downward stroke, the same way with a bandsaw. So these are just little short blades that clamp in and clamp in like this. They break fairly easy. We may break some blades. Don't be too concerned with that. But if you got to really watch how you're forcing this. This one has a light also. You can turn it on, helps you see a little bit better because you're right down on your work. Also has a little thing that kind of helps blow the sawdust out of the way so you can see better. Blade speed on this one. This one you turn on and off over here, so you pull the knob out. It's like a sewing machine, it goes up and down, okay? Speed, you twist the knob, okay? Back here is the tension on the blade to tighten the blade down so it don't have a lot of flexibility. You don't want it so it's flexing too awful much. This one's basically the same thing. This one adjusts over here though, up and down. Now the blade tensioner on this one is this here. You have to keep this flipped up. You adjust the screw in and it's pressing, it's pulling that blade apart. Of course, this is not set at a good depth for what we're going to be cutting. Basically the same machine, just a little bit different adjustments. We do have to plug these into the GFCI cords as far as these two scroll saws, so make sure you use one of them. Now you'll find that the bandsaw works a lot better. This is actually better for real intricate cuts and stuff. It's moving slower. You can do a little bit neater job. But when you're working on thicker stock stuff, you'll find the bandsaw works a lot better. We have one bandsaw. So I want everybody taking turns getting a chance to use everything, all three machines. Remember, same thing, cutting it big so you're leaving part of your line. So I'm going to go ahead and start this one up as soon as I make sure this is adjusted pretty good, because that's our first step. Same thing, if it started making a funny noise or the blade comes off, just shut it off and then we'll get a new blade on it or reattach the blade. So you're going to have to get it moving pretty fast to be able to cut, but you'll find you can't just rake that across there with this one. Or more than likely. Okay, so I can cut pretty close to that line. I'm leaving a little bit. That little bit will sand off pretty easy with a belt sander, so don't be too concerned with that. I mean, you don't want to leave a 1/4 inch, but that's basically what you guys are going to be working on. So anybody have any questions with this one?
That one has to be at full speed, right?
Well, I didn't have it full speed because it was really jarring, moving around. I mean, if we're going to turn up full speed, we almost need to clamp it down so it's not jarring around with a clamp at the edge of the table or something. At faster speed, it's probably, because this stuff's so thick, it's probably going to be better, yes. Speed adjustment on this one's right here, okay, in the front. So this a little bit different locations where that stuff is. So, I mean, we can spread this out a little bit so we're not so tight to each other because you're swinging that big thing around, but this was easier for recording. So no questions, right? This one, you can see I used a splitter here in the end of this. It just works because this has two separate cords, one for the light, one for not. That one doesn't have a light, so you don't really need that. So that's all I have with this. I won't go over the belt sync, go ahead.